thing to make these green. The cord, whatever. You know, I was bad at science. But the principle is, he says, I'm making you like me so I give you a right to choose. So will is present. When God makes Adam, will is always present. Adam always has a choice. But it hasn't been activated. So God says, I'll put a tree in the middle of the garden and I'll give you an instruction. And that instruction is actually what activated Adam's will. He says, I put 2 trees in the garden. One of them you don't even need. You'll already live forever. So this is phenomenal. I put 2 trees in the middle of the garden. There are a whole bunch of other trees. You never pay attention to the 2 trees. God says, I'll make every tree look good. He never mentioned that these 2 trees look better than any of the other trees. He said all of them were nice to look at. Not ugly trees. No ugly trees in the garden. But he said, in the midst of it, in the middle of the garden, I put 2 trees. One tree of life, one knowledge of good and evil. And God shows up to Adam and activates his will and says, he gives him a commandment. He says, of every tree in the garden you may freely eat, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you can't. Because if you eat it, when you eat it, you will die. You would die. But this phenomenal thing. First thing he says, first thing we can see here is freedom, contrary to popular belief, freedom has boundaries. True freedom actually has limitations. God just defined freedom. He said, this is freedom. Eat everything you want. But this one, as long as you eat everything, you're free. So now freedom is defined by God in Genesis as doing what I say do. We know we say freedom is doing what you want to do. But God was first, so he gets to define everything. That's the simplicity when people ask questions about, well, why this, why that? God was first. There was no you without him. That gives him the right legally to define everything. If you draw a picture, think about it. They have copyright laws. If you draw a picture, you call it whatever you want, get a copyright placed on it, and nobody can duplicate your picture, call it something else because the right belongs to you. Same thing with God. He made you. He has copyrights to your life. He has copyrights to every word that exists. He has copyrights to trees. He has copyrights to everything. He's defined everything already. He has copyrights to the laws of gravity. I'm so serious. So then people show up, yo, he's not been alive, he just exists, and he's been existing forever. You've been alive for 20 years, and you think all of a sudden you got to say what's what and what's not. Oh, God. But that's how we live our life. Right? I don't know where we get the audacity from. I believe it's sin, but that's what happens. So God says, I just defined what freedom is. If you want to be free, don't eat this tree. But if you want to die, so if freedom is not eating the tree, we can automatically equate bondage to eating the tree. And then we can automatically equate bondage to death. Because bondage and death are synonymous based on this idea. That means that the moment I disobey God, I'm in bondage to something that keeps me from being what I'm supposed to be. Because if God made Adam without a expiration date, and I put an expiration date on him, Adam lived 900 years. But that means God had intention for the other thousands of years that he was supposed to live. That never happened. He died. 900 is a long time. But if he intended on you living forever, that means he had purpose for all the time you would have been alive. He thought out every year, every minute, every second of that time. But we expired too soon because we were bound to something because we made a decision not to be free. So will is the ability and the right to make a decision. Now, I have a question. Where's it at? The greatest deception that comes from the devil is this. The greatest deception, I believe, in any scenario, I know people say is believing, convincing you he doesn't exist. And that is a very great deception. But I believe is when he puts you in a situation and convinces you that you don't have a choice. How many times have you been in a situation and you did not feel like you had a choice? I'm sure we've all been there. Like, yo, okay, you drove to the house. You chose to drive over to the house. You chose to see the guy or the girl. And things are a little heated. And all of a sudden, you don't feel like you have the option to say no. It broke because I've been there and be like, yo, I don't really. And you know what keeps you from saying no? It's not that you don't have the choice. It's that you don't like the consequence of the no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you expect God to give you a sign, like in that YouTube video.
But you still don't like the consequence of the no because you put the responsibility on God to make decisions for you.
Yeah.
And we just saw that he's not going to do that. He will only instruct. He will never decide for you. Unless you give him the right to decide for you in some situations. And we'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about prayer real quick. So the devil shows up. You find yourself in a situation, any given situation, and you feel like you don't have a choice. That's deception. There's always a choice. It's just that it's been concealed either by an illusion or by a lie. Or, at first I said illusion, lie, but then I found out there's something else that conceals our choices, and that's our feelings. Feelings. Somebody just said, nothing more than feelings. Think about it. I don't really want to use this example, but I'll use it. I had a friend that was dating another friend, and every time that friend tried to break up with the friend, the other friend would have emotional fits that would make the other person feel guilty for trying to break up with them. Literally manipulating them out of their right to choose to break up. Oh, I know we met people like that. And you always had a choice. It's just that they make you seem so guilty and so wrong that you don't want to choose hurting them that bad. So you choose to be miserable in the relationship.
Right.
Oh, we've done it.
Oh.
Our parents do. Our parents have robbed us of our right to choose sometimes because they want you to be what they want you to be. But if what they want you to be has nothing to do with what God is calling you to be, then what? And it's not that you're crazy. Some people take that and they'll run and just start, I'm dropping out of school. Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you being in school and all that stuff is a medium to get you to the next place. As of right now, and I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to finish. As of right now, I'm a college dropout. I didn't know why I was in Norfolk State as long as I was in Norfolk State until I got saved. The moment I got saved, my tenure in Norfolk State ended as a student. Literally, I just couldn't get any more money for school. I kept getting financial aid all the way up to the semester that I met Jesus Christ. After that semester, I got no more money. Literally, so I don't know. I was like, wow. So, you telling me 5 years at Norfolk State University? 5 long years, and I still went to graduate? Only to meet Jesus, and now I'm still here in a different capacity? Honestly, had it not been 5 years, I wouldn't be familiar enough with the campus to do the Bible study. When it started, certain things I was able to do, rooms I was able to use, happened because I had relationships with people that I developed before I met Christ. And they like, it would be times we would sit in union have a Bible study, and we weren't supposed to be there, and the police would see us, and they would say, well, just let me know when you finish so we can lock up behind you. Like, literally, this is the police. Like, okay. I'll be like, okay. But I had developed relationships. I had good rapport with people. We made flyers. The one big set of flyers we had, we made them copies of Student Support Services.
What was your major when you came here?
It was a lot of things. It was. My major when I first got no mistake was pre-law. Which, as you can see, I'm a very oriented person. I can debate and stuff. So that was why. It wasn't that I was really interested. I just went with something I was good at. And I had to pick something. Then I switched to management information systems. If anybody knows me, I'm good with gadgets and computers. I went for stuff that I was good at, not that I had passion for, I was just talented. So then I went from that to business administration. Again, I don't have a lot of answers as to why. Only thing I changed my major to that I actually had an answer for was social work. And that was because I like helping people.